Alrighty, welcome everybody to week 2 of AVG. Today we have BaeDCarry fan club taking on BabieZ. I will be your shoutcaster today, Complex, and today I'm brought here with analyst August. Say what's up, August.
Hey, hello, good evening, everyone. Yeah, I'm excited for the game. It should be a pretty interesting game between the BabieZ and the BaeDCarry fan club. Yeah. What is the big thing that you're looking for in between both these teams here?
So, while it is known that both the bot lanes, that's like where both teams have invested a lot of their points, I think the jungle matchup is also going to be a big highlight because there is a large gap in just straight up rank. I believe that the jungler for BaeDCarry fan club is, I believe, silver 1, silver 2 maybe, and the jungler for the BabieZ is plat 4. So there could very well be a large skill expression gap there, and arguably the most impactful role in the game. That being said, though, we do see the two highest point valued bot lanes combined competing tonight. So this game could just be won through the bot lane.
Yeah, I totally agree. Jungle is huge in terms of macro, but we'll see if they kind of have something to, like cow tie and guide him if needed. But again, maybe he's one of those guys who's like a genius and doesn't have time to play League, so he never really committed to a climb. So yeah, we are going to be getting into the draft here soon. There's just a few things that they are kind of sorting out here.
Yeah, absolutely. So in the meantime, I mean, let's talk about some bans maybe that we want to see come out. Looking at the two rosters of players, one thing to note is Beyblade is notorious for being a Yasuo Yone main. More so the Yasuo than the Yone, but in both matches that we've seen him play in week 1 and subbing in week 2 last night for OTS, he got his Yone and was able to have very strong performances in both games. And in both situations, they banned out the Yasuo. So do you think that they need to ban out the Yone as well? Do you think he warrants 2 bans, or do you think that maybe preparing a counter pick is the better option?
I think in one regard, I want to say just let it go through, because if you are kind of expecting it, then great. You can kind of have a game plan against it, but throwing 2 bans at it, unless you're going to try to abuse Beyblade, or if he doesn't have a deep pool, then yeah. But I don't think it would warrant 2 bans personally. But then again, they could have something entirely different planned for it.
Gotcha. So also looking at these two sides, BaeDCarry fan club will be on the blue side for this draft. Do you think the blue side is an advantage in this matchup here, where both bot lanes are both very strong?
Yeah, I think blue side is always good. This is it gives them first pick for what they want. So we also see that there is going to be, I think, a penalty coming through for using an emergency sub. So I'm curious on how that'll impact the draft, because if they do lose a few bans, that should kind of impact how one team is going to prep versus the other. And it looks like it's going to be on the side of the BabieZ, if I'm not mistaken.
Gotcha. Yeah, that is very possible right now. Looking like they are having some issues with making sure that they do find their players that they need. Not everybody is available right now, unfortunately. This was an issue that we saw last week for the BabieZ, where they did have to have a substitute top laner and a substitute jungler for the game. One of the substitutes was Choose Life, and he ended up making the main roster after the game. BioStir ended up leaving the team and ended up on another team. But, I mean, with that said, if this ends up happening, it's going to end up being a 5-ban penalty, and they will have no bans against BaeDCarry fan club. So BFC is going to have full reign over the draft if that's the case.
Yeah. And on
Alrighty,
that
so
note, yeah, we're gonna take a pause and we'll be back shortly. We're just getting this sorted out between the team with the emergency subs. Do you think we're gonna see come out on the side of the fan club? I'm never 2 seasons they've had the name correct, and I've never gotten it right.
the BaeDCarry fan club, yeah.
Yeah.
Alrighty, and looks like we are back now. Looks like we do have the issues sorted out. We do have 2 subs in now, so on the side of was it? Yeah, on the side of the BabieZ, we have Moo Moo Milk from La Espada subbing in the bot lane in place of Steel Fist. and we have Embattled Axis in place of Kiminoshi in the top lane.
Yeah.
Alrighty.
And
So
we are going to be kicking off the draft here soon, too.
yeah, so because just for everybody to know, because the BabieZ did end up having to have 2 emergency subs, it caused their previous lineup submission to be null and void and basically being a light sign-up submission, as well as 2 subs. So they forfeit side selection and they forfeit both of their, or all 5 rather, of their bans, taking on 2 ban penalties. So they will be playing the game on hard mode, unfortunately. So just for everybody out there, so you guys know, there will be no bans from the BabieZ this game. And side selection looks like it will remain the same. BaeDCarry fan club opting for blue side still, while the BabieZ will be on red side.
Yeah, and they are going to be kicking it off shortly. We see a little bit of chatter going back and forth. It says they're both ready. So no bans out of the side of DBZ. I'm kind of curious as to what BFC will pick. I know BaeDCarry. He's played Kai'Sa a few times. Kai'Sa's pretty strong. I wouldn't be surprised if we see that and like a Rel come out, to be honest with you. If it is left up or, you know, not picked by the BabieZ, but we have the draft, so I guess we'll see.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, being on blue side, so we did talk a little bit about the bot lane matchup and the jungle, but also in the mid lane. One thing I did forget to mention, Asian Invasion and Beyblade both have very similar champion pools in the sense that both of them are well known for Yasuo and Yone. Yone more specifically, and looking like they are going to ban out the Yone. So rather than taking the pick themselves, first pick, they are going to just say, you know what, we have different priority on our first pick, and we don't want you guys to take it. So we're moving it off the board.
Yeah, no, and I mean, and they slowed down on this third ban here coming across. Do you think they throw it more so at mid again? Maybe they ban the Yasuo, they just, you know, throw it at Beyblade and put him on something that they don't think he isn't as comfortable on, and it looks like he's going top. The Cho'Gath.
Yeah. So maybe just, you know, wanting to give themselves some time to look into who the other team's top laner is, and, you know, maybe just deciding, you know what, we're just going to take away the Cho'Gath. It looks to be a comfort pick for him. May or may not be, but, you know, maybe they're okay with him, with Beyblade having the Yasuo, unless they plan on taking it first pick themselves, which would be quite strange. Yasuo is not the best first pick by any means. There's a lot of counter options, and looking at it, Seraphine will be locked in, so Yasuo is still on the board. I think there's a very high likelihood we see it in one of these first 2 picks here.
Yeah, a Yasuo maybe with a little bit of setup of something in the top lane, but I don't think they'll come across with both solo laner picks. That would be pretty ballsy on the side of DBZ. So maybe a jungle pick coming through here.
Yeah, and looking at it, Yasuo locked in and hovering the Ornn. If that is an Ornn top lane, that is very strong combination already with the Yasuo ultimate. And it will be locked in, so there is the Ornn. So already, both solo laners have been locked in for the side of the BabieZ. Yeah, and a Nasus lock-in. This is different, okay? So Nasus being taken on the side of BaeDCarry fan club. Nasus, definitely not the strongest pick in any kind of competitive play, but, you know, maybe just wanting to opt for more comfort.
Yeah, I would have to agree with you. Nasus does not scream, you know, competitive or team orientated. He'll be just off doing his own thing, stacking queues. But we do also see a Senna come through, which I don't know. Maybe it's a Seraphine Senna bot lane or Seraphine mid with a Senna. I'm curious to find out.
Yeah, absolutely. Senna being locked in there. Now, there is obviously, yes, as you mentioned, the option for it to be flexed. I would like to see a starving Senna build here, or a rather fasting Senna build here, and maybe even put the Seraphine mid lane. Seraphine does a decent enough job against Yasuo, kind of neutralizing the lane and being able to play safe. But, I mean, if you're not the most comfortable on the pick, I definitely understand throwing it to the bot lane with the Senna and it's got a lot of long range, decent, like very strong sustain in lane, has a very easy ability just neutralizing the lane, and that seems to be kind of the playstyle that we've seen BaeDCarry opt for a lot. And Rakan being locked in from the side of the BabieZ, that is a comfort pick from Moo Milk. He is well known for his Rakan play, very aggressive on the pick, and like time and time again, he has been able to pop off in team fights. So they're gonna have to be very careful. There's already a lot of knockups for this Yasuo.
Yeah, that is kind of scary with a Yasuo, Ornn, and Rakan. I don't know. I guess we'll see how it is kind of shut down early, because if that gets outside and it is a 5v5 situation, on the side of DBZ, that is a lot coming through versus a Nasus, a Senna, and a Seraphine.
Yeah, absolutely. And looking like the next two bans, Jinx, and they're hovering the Xayah ban. Now, Xayah would take away a bit of a safe pick in team fights, but also Xayah can at times be strong in lane, and looking like they will decide to ban the Diana, leaving open the Xayah Rakan duo if they opt for it. Now, Demon Angel is capable of playing the Xayah. It is in his champion pool. We haven't seen him play it yet, but I mean, now is a great time with a well-known Rakan player.
Yeah, it is very interesting coming out of, looking at the drafts, because on the side of BFC where you literally can pick anything, I feel as if the Seraphine, Nasus, Senna wasn't the best three. But hey, I could stand corrected. Like I said, they could have a game plan. But we see the Volibear coming outside for DBZ, which again, that's a scary comp. I'm assuming that's going into the jungle.
Yeah, I mean, there is a world where Ornn could jungle, but I don't think it's like actually been a viable thing for a while now. I think Volibear is also a comfort pick for Choose Life. So, I mean, having the Volibear, having the Ornn, having the Rakan, having the Yasuo, like, you already have very strong engaged tools and follow-up. So right now, their team fight already looks far superior, and it's just, what are they going to opt for in the ADC role to kind of round this out? Now, also, looking at it, Ornn, Rakan, and Volibear are your only source of AP, but none of those three really build real heavily into it. Rakan does opt for the Shurelias more often than not, but Ornn and Volibear kind of just build tanky and rely on the AP that's innate in their kit to do any kind of damage for that. So seeing Pantheon and Renekton also being locked in from the side of BaeDCarry fan club. So rounding out their comp with that, I mean, what are your thoughts on this?
I don't know. I'm really lost, to be honest with you. That on the side of BFC, that is a really unorthodox comp. I'm assuming that's going to be Pantheon jungle. The Renekton into Yasuo, that's Renekton favored, so I could see that pick. I think the real curveball here really is Nasus in the top. And I'm not against the Senna Seraphine, but Senna, if she's picked into the bot lane, I don't like to see her put on support. I feel like there's a lot better tools that she could have picked. Like everyone was commenting on the Braum. That would have been huge because of, how useful the shield would have been.
Absolutely.
But we'll see how it shakes out for him.
Yeah, and we do see the Ezreal be locked in as the 5th pick for the side of the BabieZ rounding out their comp. Now, last night, we did see Demon Angel subbing in for La Espada and pop off on the Ezreal pick, but did have a little bit of a lackluster lane phase. So, in a lane like this where it's Seraphine Senna, I mean, you can kind of get away with something like that because it's not a lane that you're particularly concerned about them like snowballing a game off of. They kind of want to play to just neutralize the lane, harass from a distance, and not really die. And that's something that Ezreal also wants to do in lane. Now, Rakan is the only thing that's a little bit out of place in this bot lane. Rakan very much likes to go in and engage. But, I mean, it's not the end of the world. I mean, it is a strong comfort pick. I personally would have liked to have seen the Braum, especially after seeing the Seraphine, seeing the rest of the tools that they got. I think Braum would have done a really good job denying the engage, but also still providing a knock-up, in a sense, for the Yasuo, and being able to help keep Ezreal safe in lane, being able to deal with this Senna Seraphine.
Yeah, on the side of DBZ, I think they can just play passively and not really look for much. Like, they could just sit on their hands for half the game, and then when it comes time to team fight, in essence, they should have an easier comp to execute. Whereas BFC, you have a Renekton, you have a Pantheon who eventually will fall off a little bit. You kind of have to be proactive. So if the early game isn't great on the side of BFC, it's going to be pretty hard.
Yeah, absolutely. Pantheon is a bit of a lane dominant champion. But the problem with Pantheon is you don't really have the best scaling, and as well as, like, you know, being in the jungle, like, the clear speed is quite lower. Now, this still could be a Nasus jungle. You know, that's not, you know, completely off the table, in which case it'd be a Pantheon top lane. But Pantheon top doesn't really do too great into the Ornn pick. It's one of those things that, like, you really only can kill the Ornn before he gets, you know, his first reset, or in lane is able to build like what his first reset of items would be. Once he starts stacking some armor, you're gonna have a very difficult time really killing him in lane, especially, you know, with the mechanics of Ornn. If he times his W properly for Pantheon stun, he completely negates the stun altogether and is able to combo his CC with it. So I mean, it's very difficult for Pantheon to really be able to do much other than just try to, you know, impact the rest of the map with his ultimate at level 6. But I mean, at that point, like, the only lane that they really have to win through is this Renekton into Yasuo lane. Renekton is known for being the hardest counter into Yasuo. That has been, you know, tried and true, tested throughout the years. But if BaeD understands the matchup and knows how to play safe in lane and just play for team fights, he can also get away with this. They could have no early lead or very little early lead and just scale.
Yeah, and again, BaeD has so much experience on Yasuo that even if you do put him behind, I would like to think he knows how to play from behind and play into a matchup like Renekton, even though, because if you lock in Yasuo, I'm imagining, you know, Renekton isn't, it's not like, oh, I wonder what they'll pick. Renekton's a very popular counter matchup for him. The game is going to be pretty hard, but like I said, hopefully he has the experience to kind of negate the pressure that comes from it. And then the other thing is, too, you were commenting on the difference in the ranks for the junglers. With how BFC's comp is, you know, and if this is it is a jungle Pantheon, if he doesn't apply that pressure, there's gonna come a point in the game where he's just like a stun bot. So if he gets some ganks off that don't work and waste his time, it could be a scary scenario.
Absolutely. I mean, honestly, the only thing that, like, you can really, like, look at and be like, that's a lane that Pantheon has, like, the impact heavily, is the mid lane. I mean, Yasuo with Renekton, you got double stun. They're both point and click per se. Pantheon's being a jump, Renekton's being an empowered auto, but Yasuo has no way to, like, really escape that. So I would really like to see BaeD opt to go for the cleanse in this lane. Do I think he will? I don't think he will. I think what's going to end up happening is he's going to take Ignite, or he's going to take Teleport, or even Barrier, which Barrier, by the way, would be really bad in Renekton. His empowered W shreds barrier shields. But I honestly I believe that Yasuo's, or BaeBlade, is going to end up not taking the correct summoner in this matchup. Now, if he proves me wrong, then I'll eat my own words. But I don't see it happening.
Yeah, and we'll see. Like I said, it'll be a game that's kind of decided by just early, because BFC, what they drafted, you have Nasus, right? It's unorthodox. You have Nasus who wants to just scale, and I mean, I don't know. The comp from BFC, it's got me feeling some type of way. I don't know if I like it. I don't like it. I'm gonna be honest with you. I like DBZ's comp a lot better. The synergy just seems to be there.
Yeah, absolutely. That being said, I mean, if you are on the side of BFC, I guess your biggest win condition then, if you can't win through mid lane, is at least you have the late game scaling of Nasus and Senna. Do I think they outscale? Well, it is Ornn upgrades. Ezreal scales quite strong, and so does Yasuo.
Yeah.
But Nasus and Senna infinitely scale. So, like, I guess if, like, you're looking at it, yes and no. Like they scale, I'd say I'd give DBZ the late game until like 40 plus minutes, at which point, I mean, BaeDCarry fan club should be able to run away with it at that point if it gets
Oh,
that late.
and I will stop you there. I guess we have word that the game is being canceled.
Gotcha. So it does appear that one of these substitutes for BabieZ has not completed 85 ranked solo duo games, which is a requirement to even substitute or fill in for the league. So, with that being said, it looks like this will be, correct me if I'm wrong, this will be a forfeit for the side of BabieZ, as they do not have 5 ready players at the start time or within the first 15 minutes of the scheduled start time.
Yeah, and players that did in fact qualify for, being a sub.
Yeah.
But I believe we have another game coming up here tonight, right?
Yes. So
correct?
in about 34 minutes, 35 minutes roughly, tonight we'll have Third Impact taking on United Postal Services. That will be a very spicy matchup in the jungle between Yogiza and Mailbox, both very well-known junglers from last season.
Yeah, so that is it. I believe we're going to be wrapping it up here. Guys, stay tuned. Like we said, in another 30 minutes or so, you are going to be getting UPS versus Third Impact. So that's it. I appreciate you guys coming out here. Unfortunate turn of events that they didn't qualify, but yo, hey, BFC, they got their first win of the season. Let's go.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, they got their first win. Now, August, tell me, who do you think would have took that game looking at the drafts?
Like I said, I didn't like what they drafted whatsoever with like the Nasus and Renekton and the Pantheon. But like I said, they showed up, they got in line, they did what they needed to do, they won, but I didn't like what they drafted
Yeah,
whatsoever. It's hard to
I
set that up.
Yeah, I agree. The draft was, I mean, for the enemy team not having any bans, I personally not a fan of what they drafted for. I think that what they drafted realistically only wins if like you snowball early or the game goes 40 plus minutes, and I think those are very niche win conditions compared to the other side. So
Yeah, we're gonna pause, guys. There's some things still being sorted out. But we'll be back in a few.